Hey everyone, welcome to our call tonight. We are going to chat tonight about gut health. So how awesome is that? I'm going to pose a question to begin with. So this is the question. What health issues or annoying symptoms would you love freedom from? Or maybe you're uber healthy, and maybe it's more of the question of who do you know that would be totally blessed if they could be freed up from certain health symptoms. Or maybe it's simply that you don't want your family to suffer through the winter with sickness all the winter long with colds and flus. Well, as a way of introduction, I'm Megan Goff. I'm delighted actually to be sharing with you guys tonight. This is very different from anything I've ever hosted before. So it's new and fun and fresh. I am a crunchy mom of 6 kids. We homeschool. We live on a farm in Illinois. And I'm always looking for ways to keep us happier and healthier. So I think it's fun to learn. I'm passionate about health and wellness, and I love to share and I love to learn. So I'm going to learn from everyone else that shares tonight too. I'm going to be looking off some of my notes. And I just wanted to say, if you are a guest tonight, invited by some friend, feel free to, hang on, let me mute. Feel free to put your name in the chat thread. We're going to be monitoring that. If you have any particular questions, if you can put that you're a guest, because we have something fun at the end that we're going to do. So, as also, I needed to share really quick as a disclaimer that we are not claiming to cure, heal, treat any sort of disease. Always refer back to your doctor. We're simply happy, healthy moms that want to share what we know with other people. So, our goal tonight is to educate, to give ideas, to inspire, to share perspectives, and invite you to evaluate yourself and your family in light of what you eat, your stress load, and how you supplement. And also to consider the health of your own gut. Could it be your gut? Okay, so I'm going to start with my story, kind of set the stage for you. So I was born via natural birth, breastfed for a month or two, and at age 2 was diagnosed with a cleft palate. And it was fixed soon after they were able to diagnose that. But I had chronic ear infections as a kid. And so we all know what that means. That means loads of antibiotics, right? We also constantly through the winter had chronic stomach flu issues. We would always get the throwing up flu. Okay, so keep these things in mind because this has a lot to do with what we're going to talk about tonight. Fast forward to when I was a teenager. I became very interested in health and wellness. I ate fairly well, was interested in natural healing and started doing a lot of research. I was pretty healthy, but I did have a sweet tooth, and I guess you could say sugar addiction, and also will say I have some tummy trouble. I mean, I'll just say bloating and like really gassy for whatever reason. Now I understand it more, but really that was my normal, and I kind of just thought that was normal. And the more I've learned and as I've aged, I've realized, you know what? That is not normal. It is a symptom of something else going on. So my New Year's resolutions every year were to eat less sugar. And the more sugar you eat, the more you crave it. And hang on one sec. If everyone can mute, that would be really helpful. Awesome. Okay. So I got married young and started having babies. I had back-to-back pregnancies, and that was a setup for nutrient deficiency for me. And one day I woke up and I just had this realization that I don't feel well. Something is off in my body. And I had a lot of different symptoms, and it ranged from hormonal and infertility issues for the first time in my life. Periods were off, anxious. I was surviving on my sugar and chocolate, little blitzes that I would do. I developed severe food sensitivities, and I was actually diagnosed with an autoimmune thyroid disease. And also all of these health symptoms led us to discover, thankfully, that we had a mold issue in our home, and that was causing a lot of toxicity in myself and even some of the kids. And it led me down a path of pursuing root issues for my health, not Band-Aids to cover up symptoms. And I went down the natural path route and supplementation route. And I will just tell you that I believe God directed me that way to be able to specifically heal the issues I was dealing with, and also so that I could really help a lot more people because of what I had experienced and learned and am continuing to learn. So cool to be on here tonight sharing with y'all. So I have just realized that there were certain stressors on my body, some deficiencies, some absorption issues, and it all related back to gut health. So I also will say in relation to so back to my story. Okay, so someone's saying they can't hear. Hopefully everyone can hear. Okay, anyways, back to my story. In light of the antibiotic usage, the not being breastfed very long, the sugar addiction, the bloating, the gas, the mold, all of those things were stressors and affected my gut health negatively. And what I considered normal was really not normal. It led to something that I discovered I had called leaky gut syndrome, and that fungus and yeast was the root of all my symptoms. So very interesting. And there's a Greek physician, and he's also called the father of modern medicine. His name is Hippocrates, and he said all disease begins in the gut. Maybe that guy knew something that us modern Americans don't realize. And I'll just say my Megan quote is, if your gut ain't healthy, you ain't healthy. So I'm reading this book currently. It's called Recaging the Beast, The Disease Behind Diseases, The Yeast and Fungal Connection. Very good book, very eye-opening. If you're dealing with any sort of gut health issues, I would highly recommend reading this book. While I'm at it, I'm going to recommend a couple other mom books to you that have been highly, highly beneficial to me in mom life. So these Be Your Own Doctor books, written by a mom of 9 kids, super, super helpful. So I don't actually even have to reference those very much anymore because we've just been so healthy the past couple of years. But I will say that if you do deal with stuff and you don't want to have to rush into the doctor and constantly use antibiotics and things like that, there are a lot of natural remedies that can help. So referencing back to this book, I just wanted to go over a couple of interesting facts for you guys, because I will say with my health journey, the one thing it's taught me is that if one thing is off, a whole lot of things can be off in your body. And also that knowledge is the key to healing, okay? And you have the power to educate yourself and learn a lot to help yourself heal. I believe God gave us bodies that were meant to heal themselves. And sometimes it's just a matter of pulling in the right resources to help that happen. Okay, so pathologists have found that 80% of us are significantly impacted by yeast overgrowth, and that 200 plus diseases are connected with this. There is, in normal healthy people, 80% of our bacteria in our gut and in our body should be good, okay, and only 20% bad. And what has happened because of a lot of different things that we've been subjected to as people living in the modern world is that that's a lot of times flopped. And so instead of 80% good, we have 80% bad, or just an imbalance of the good guys to the bad guys. And there's a little organism in our body called Candida, okay? And that's a specific type of yeast organism that's put in there by God in our bodies as a gift. It helps decompose us when we die, returns us back to dust. But the key is that when that's in balance, your body is in balance. When it's not, you wreak havoc in your gut. And there's certain things that feed Candida yeast. And so some of those things are antibiotics, birth control pills, steroids, hormones, lack of breastfeeding, the standard American diet, food additives, immunizations, fillings, fluoride, just to name off a few. And so those things set the stage, kind of like a buffet for those little yeast organisms to have a feast. And they love sugar and carbs, and that keeps them fat and happy as long as you keep feeding them those things. So just think about our system being enhanced by good nutrition, by reducing stress, by good sleep. And think about what happens when we eat a lot of junk food, when we're subjected to a lot of stress and drugs. Those things compromise our immune system and weaken it. And so I have a couple fun facts for you that I gathered from this book, so I'm just going to share what I learned. Constipation is often a lack of lactobacillus bacteria. Often those are crowded out by yeast organisms. Also, the book had kind of referenced about our grandmothers. Did they struggle with yeast and PMS like we do? No, I'm pretty sure grandma's gut was a lot stronger and it can resist a lot of the things that we're subjected to, just because they weren't subjected to those things that we have now, just kind of like in our daily diet and, the things that we take. Infertility is relatively, I mean, it's always been around, but it's so rampant and widespread. One reason, I mean, there's multiple reasons, but one reason is because candida makes the body acidic. And so then it's harder to conceive a baby. I thought that was interesting. Also, fatigue and depression are hallmarks of yeast overgrowth. And weight gain is very heavily tied to yeast. If your body is full of yeast, you'll have a hard time losing weight until you get your gut health under control. Okay, so what do we do? I'm just going to say really quick, food matters. What we feed our bodies, what we feed our families, those matter. Cutting out sugar, and also looking to supplementation to help rid our bodies of extra yeast. This all matters. Okay, so I'm going to actually turn it over to my sweet friend, Melody Detweiler. She is a Crunchy Mama friend and a certified nutritionist, and she's going to share her perspective. So Melody, you can go ahead and unmute.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yep.
Hey everyone! All right, yes, this is so exciting. I'm so happy to be able to share with you tonight. Thanks, Megan, for doing this class. I know I have a lot to learn. And I just wanted to say that it's been so interesting for me. Years back when I received my certification in nutrition and went through that coursework, Candida was something that came up a lot. And I remember studying it and thinking like, why haven't I heard about this? I don't know if any of you feel like that, but the past couple of years, a lot of research and documentation has come out about our gut and dysbiosis and what probiotics are and what leaky gut is and all these things. It's just been fascinating to see that the Candida that I was studying in my coursework, a lot of people are chatting about. So anyway, it was interesting to me when I was studying the Candida in my coursework, I saw that it was linked to so many things, and I found that fascinating. So I want to kind of touch on that tonight, with our gut being the root, kind of a foundation of the rest of the body, like Megan was saying. If it's in dysbiosis, if there's an overgrowth of Candida, which is a fungus, it's going to affect so many symptoms of the body. And I have in my notes here just a little definition that I thought was really helpful in what exactly Candida is. It says Candida, which is a single cell fungi, releases powerful poisons as it multiplies, which circulate in the bloodstream, causing all kinds of symptoms and disorders. The organisms can cause a number of chemical reactions in the body and actually interfere with the body's ability to destroy them. So I found that really fascinating. We hear a lot about gut issues. We hear a lot about how 80% of our immune system is in our gut. And I hear people say, oh, I don't want to have the sniffles. I don't want to have the flu. I need to make sure my gut is healthy. And that's really good. But did you know that there are so many, like a host of other things that are related to gut dysbiosis when there's too much Candida in the body and that's just overgrown? It can reflect itself in a lot of areas that you might not realize. I know I didn't until I was studying this more, but particularly the urinary system, the vagina, the mouth, the gastrointestinal tract, our skin, our fingers, our toenails. So if you're having chronic toenail fungus, for example, or urinary tract infections, a lot of times when we have these things, they are somewhat more of a symptom of perhaps that Candida overgrowth that's happening in the body. And I want to just make a quick point here too. A lot of times we have something like that occur, and we want to get rid of that and make sure that our healthy bacteria, our healthy gut flora is able to fight that off. However, if you have something more than once, you have something chronically, I'm thinking of friends with chronic toenail fungus right now, or chronic ear infections. let me tell you, something chronic is a huge red flag that there's an underlying issue of yeast in the body. That's something you're going to want to look up more. I wish I could just go on and on tonight. I have a few more things I want to cover, so I can't talk much more, but I would just encourage you, do your research, be your own advocate, and look into gut health. People don't realize that perhaps their eczema or their skin issues and problems actually result back and connect back to those gut issues. And we can treat things topically, and that can be very helpful, and I'm thankful for those things. But if we're not addressing the yeast issue in the body, most likely they're going to come back. We're not really getting to the root of the problem, and we're just using a Band-Aid. So I wanted to mention a couple of things. In our gut, and having to do with Candida, our gut is like a garden, and we want to have a wide variety of flowers, right? We don't want to have all marigolds or all tulips, as much as I love tulips. I want to have a garden that has a wide range of beautiful, colorful, healthy flowers. And those healthy flowers come from healthy soil, right? So we want to make sure we're pulling out the weeds. So that would be like Candida and those forms of yeast in the body. And we want to make sure that we're not feeding the weeds with sugar and stress and antibiotics and junk food. All of those things feed the weeds. So we want to be pulling out those weeds and not nourishing them, but nourishing our beautiful flowers. And we want to be taking in probiotics, clean water, a healthy diet, sleep, exercise. I know Jocelyn's going to touch on that too. But those things all feed the healthy microorganisms in our gut. And we really want to make sure we're doing that. We want 80% of the good bacteria and 20% of the bad. And a lot of us have that reversed thanks to the things I've mentioned above, like stress and sugar. But it's very, very common to have those things flip-flopped. So we want to feed our garden, and we want to keep it healthy. And one other thing I wanted to mention that I've found interesting in my research is that malnutrition and lack of nutrient absorption, that's basically what malnutrition is, oftentimes is caused because of that yeast overgrowth. Because when yeast is overgrowing in the body, the gut, which is where we absorb nutrients and even where the body makes a few vitamins, the gut cannot then absorb those nutrients. It's kind of like the yeast gets in the way and doesn't allow them to come in. So if you've heard much at all about leaky gut, that's kind of where this comes in too. Basically, leaky gut is where the gateways between our systems, our different pathways, it's like little holes get in there and literally causes leaks, and then pathogens that should never be crossing through that gateway are now crossing into those holes, and things are coming into the bloodstream which should never have been there in the first place. So if you don't know much about leaky gut, there is an excellent article by Dr. Axe. If you're familiar, you can just Google Dr. Axe leaky gut, and there's other people that have written very helpful information. But basically, you're not only losing your good nutrients and not absorbing them, but also that bad stuff is circulating in the body, that bad bacteria, that fungus, etc. So you guys, I just find that fascinating, and it makes sense then why so many things go back to gut health, why our skin issues go back to our gut, why our chronic ear infections, etc., go back to the gut. Really, really interesting.
It is. And you know what, Melody and I were chatting, and we're actually all of us, I think quite a few of us have been introduced to this simple line of supplements called Plexus. And it's interesting how a few of the products that Plexus has helps to combat the yeast that a lot of times is prevalent in our gut. And it's actually like a huge national epidemic. I don't know, it's probably around the world too, but just in light of addressing the gut is so, so, so crucial. And so, Melody, I would love to hear you share how you've noticed the Plexus supplements in particular helping you rebalance your body.
Yeah, sure, Megan. In brief, I was a migraine sufferer. It was horrible prior to Plexus. I had a lot of tummy issues, constipation, just discomfort, you could say. I also had a son who had some eczema on his skin. And so we've just been really grateful for Plexus, a couple of the products, and specifically ProBio 5, getting a really good probiotic that also had digestive enzymes to kill off the yeast, has made a huge difference for us. I'm so grateful that craziness like tummy troubles and head pain and, my son's skin issues have been cleared up. I mean, that's just been such a blessing to feel like as a mom, I have some, not every answer, but I have some answers for the things going on with my family and for not only just fighting colds and sickness, but addressing so many other things that have been related to our gut health. So that's kind of my story in a nutshell briefly. I'm just really grateful to have some relief from those symptoms. So my sweet friend Jocelyn's going to chat now. Take it away.
Thank you, Melody. It's so nice to hear just stories from different mamas. I do want to say, if you were a guest and you missed this at the beginning, would you drop your name in the chat thread? There is, if you've never used Zoom before, just take your mouse, go to the end, the bottom, click chat, and drop your name in the chat thread. We would love to do a little giveaway at the end, so please do that. But my name is Jocelyn, and I have 2 young daughters, and honestly, a lot of my health journey starts with them. When I was a kid, I thought it was normal not to go to the bathroom. I was chronically constipated. And then when I had 2 kids in 17 months, that made my gut health even crazier. So I was struggling with poor sleep, and not just, yes, having a newborn, obviously you're tired, but it was more than that. It was that I could not fall back asleep. And I had a lot of anxiety because of that, because when your sleep gets off and your gut's off, it all works together. So actually, a quick fact for you, 90% of your serotonin is actually created in your gut. And if you know what serotonin is, it is the mood balancing hormone. So if your mood is off, it means that your gut is off. So my mood was definitely off. But I also had some real big food sensitivities, especially to dairy. My daughter, who is now 2, she was sick for like 2.5 months. And as a mom, that just breaks my heart. And so once we started addressing our diet, which I'm going to talk about in just a minute, but once we started using good supplements and just kind of, I don't know, just taking better care of our health, we have seen such a difference. I have another friend, just another part of gut health. If you have food allergies, food sensitivities, that is your gut. I have my mama friend, I don't think she's on the call tonight, but she had something called oral allergy syndrome. Basically, she could not eat raw fruits. She could not eat raw vegetables without breaking out in hives. I mean, just having all of these terrible things. And once she started addressing her gut, she texted me the other day and she's like, oh my goodness, I ate a whole banana. And as a mom, that's awesome. We were at a women's event at church and I saw her eat 2 salads. And I made a comment about that. I was like, yes, gut health. So food sensitivities are huge. So needless to say, I have my gut is healing. I'm definitely in the process, but so all of those things are related. I wanted to address diet. Diet is huge. Megan and Melody both talked about yeast. We can either, I love the quote, we can either fight disease or we can feed it. So what you put in is what you're going to get out. So in this day and age, we have so many processed foods. There's GMOs, there's all this stuff, but we also have a lot more organic stuff. There is a lot more access to whole foods, and it's down to your choice. It's down to what you choose to put in your body for your kids and your health. So just a couple things. Stay away from processed foods as much as you can. Sugar, eating a candy bar, that's one thing. But if you look in labels, there's so many hidden sugars. And once you start looking at labels, it's amazing. I mean, like pasta sauce. Why does there need to be sugar in pasta sauce? I don't know. But there are other options. So My rule is look at labels. If there's more than 5 ingredients, it's probably not good. Also, if you cannot pronounce things, don't eat it because that means it's chemically made. So anyway, sugar and carbs, alcohol, all of that feeds yeast. So some quick things that you can do. Check your labels. Another thing is we want to eat plants. We don't want to eat things made in plants, right? So your leafy vegetables, good fruits, protein obviously is huge. And it's not just eating protein, it's where you get your protein. So wild caught fish, lean beef, all of those good things. I could go on forever, but I'm trying to keep it succinct. Another thing is I really like to substitute. So white flour, white sugar, those two are really not good for you. So go for, almond flour or coconut flour. With sugar, there is so many other things you could use. You can use stevia. I use something called sucanat. So just go look those up. I don't have time to list out all of those, but substituting is huge. As a mama, I meal plan. I use the crock pot. Some people use the Instapot. I've never touched that, but if that works for you, awesome. But if you plan out what you're going to do and plan out snacks and all of this thing, then you can do it. Also, if you eat out, which we all do on occasion, go for the veggies. So for example, when we go to Cracker Barrel and I can get 3 sides, I get 3 veggies, and look how much I helped my body rather than getting 3 carbs or whatever. So one last thing with how you do your portions. When you eat breakfast, think of eating breakfast as a king, eating lunch as a prince, and eating dinner as a pauper. So think of that in light of where you put how much food you're eating. One last thing, water is essential. Nothing is going to work if you don't drink water. I love what Melody said about our gut being a garden. I also like the idea of it being a pond, right? We want the good, healthy things living and thriving and feeding off of each other. And if you don't have water, you don't have a pond. So drink your water. And it's not just, you don't want to just, drink and drink. Our bodies can actually only absorb about 4 to 6 ounces at a time. So if you drink consistently throughout the day, there are apps for it. You can use rubber bands. There are actually fancy water bottles that can hook into your phone. It's crazy. But you're actually supposed to drink half of your body weight in ounces. So take your body weight, divide it by 2. That's how much water you're supposed to drink a day. It's a lot, but it's worth it for your health. So I'm going to turn it over to my friend, Andrea.
Sorry, unmuting. Can you hear me? Okay. Sorry, I kind of look like I'm in the witness protection program here. The light is bad, but I'll just go on here. First of all, I'll introduce myself. I'm Andrea Denner. I'm a mom from Northern Illinois. I have 9 kids from 26 down to 5 years old. And I'm going to come from the person that's always been healthy and doing natural health. I've been studying natural health since I was about 16, which means I probably studied it longer than maybe some of the people on here have been alive. I came from a family of natural health, so I've been hearing about probiotics almost all my life. Even when I was young and I would take an antibiotic, which was not very often. I don't even hardly remember doing that. But it was always eat some yogurt after to get some good healthy flora in, just like Melody was talking about, all the flora in your gut. I'm going to share just a couple of practical things with you tonight about taking care of your family if there is some sickness that comes up. And that is going to include some of the probiotic and plus prebiotic, which I think is really important. If we sense that anybody is starting to get anything around here, and I'll just tell you that I've never had a bladder infection, urinary tract infection. I've never had a breast infection. I've never had bronchitis. We've been very healthy, and I really do think that it's been from a lot of the natural health practices that I've done over the years. So when we do have something come up, somebody complains about a sore throat, for natural things, one is to literally take a clove of garlic, chop it up into pieces, and even a little bit of ginger, and taking it like you're taking a vitamin. Garlic is not only like a natural antibiotic, it actually contains prebiotic in it, which is going to feed the healthy flora in your gut. So that's one thing we do. I always suggest doing some green tea. A couple of bags in a thing of green tea or in a thing of water is very good as well. It will kill something. We try to make sure we have vitamin D throughout the winter. If you're going to take that separately, if you don't have it in a really good multivitamin like the Plexus, you can add some in the winter if you feel like you need more, but D3 is better because it's a water soluble vitamin. And so you can take extra of that and it's not going to hurt you. We also always have some liquid C around. So all of those things kind of in line. But one of the major things, and there's several more I could list, but I want to get to the gut health because I know that's especially important what we're talking about tonight. And I wanted to kind of talk about the connection between the prebiotic and the probiotic because I think that's something, I took a prebiotic maybe 15 years ago with a supplement that wasn't really effective, so it really didn't strike me as something that I needed to keep doing, and I hadn't read about it, I hadn't studied about it. But recently, when I started with the Plexus program, Slim has a prebiotic in it. And so I started doing research outside of that to see why is this working so well? Why is this probiotic and this prebiotic working better than the other ones that I've ever encountered in the past? And I started hearing about the prebiotic, reading about it, and figuring out that what the prebiotic does is feed the probiotic. So when you're taking a probiotic, that's great. It's going to grow the things in your system, but sometimes some of that will go out. But when you take a prebiotic, not only does it feed the probiotic that you're taking, it feeds the really good bacteria that already is in your body, because everybody has some good bacteria in there. It's just usually with a lot of people, it's smothered. But when you take the prebiotic, that can even feed the good bacteria that you already have. So it's kind of like you take the probiotic, and that's great, and it's doing prebiotic. It feeds both of those things, and it seems to be like an exponential type of thing. And it's gonna, one of the important
Whoopsie, I can't hear Andrea. Are you still there? Okay. Well, maybe she'll come back and be able to finish what she was saying. Cassie, do you want to pop on?
There we go. Can you hear me okay?
Oh. Is she back?
Can you hear me?
Now we can.
Now we
Yes.
can.
Can you hear me?
Yep, now we can.
Am I here? Okay. It's just my net. It's not been at all. And then all of a sudden, okay, I got to get this in about the prebiotic and probiotic and about the bacteria, because they're in your gut that are connected right to your brain. And so, when you get nervous and you get butterflies, or if you are the butterflies, or something stressful happens and you feel sick to your stomach, that's because your brain and your gut are very interconnected. And when you have bad bacteria, it actually speaks to, there's this vagus nerve that goes is to your heart, your bag of chocolate in your drawer, and eat it when you fast, and it tells. And then
Bummer. For some reason, it's cutting out for her.
when you're taking probiotic, you're going the good bacteria, and so then the good. Am I gone?
Well, I hear you now. You're out for a little bit.
I'm so excited.
Rat.
Excited about it, and it's not going through. That was my biggest thing I wanted to talk about.
Bummer.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. You just had touched on the vagus nerve.
I'm moving. What did you say last? So you're back to your brain. And when you have bad bacteria, put the chocolate in the drawer so you can eat it while you pass. And it's tell you the things that aren't, because it's the bad bacteria literally saying, feed me what I want. And when you have the good bacteria working well, when you take your brain in better ways. I mean, that's a very simple way to talk about it as actually, that's why it's so, with only are you, when you're supporting your gut by a probiotic, like a really good one, like the Plexus one that we're using, and you're starting to heal, those things are starting to heal them. So anyway, that's all I have to say. I don't know if you got all.
We got some, so that's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing, Andrea.
All of what I said, but I'll just.
Awesome, thank you. Okay, Cassie's up next.
I'm super excited to hear what she had to say because she was so animated. I have to know, like after this meeting, I have to know. Okay, hey everybody, my name's Cassie, and I won't keep you too much longer. But I saw Megan posting about Plexus, and I initially thought it was another weight loss fad, and I thought, oh boy, another weight loss fad. That's all I need. Well, then I saw a post about root issues addressing poor gut health. Can everybody hear me okay? Okay. So like that poor gut health was at the root of several diseases and sicknesses and autoimmune disorders. So it sounded just bizarre enough that I thought, okay, I'll give it a try. I need to lose some weight. My husband's got some terrible things going on. So is my son. So to make a really long story, like 2.5 years long story, very, very short, I have lost 17 pounds and I'm still losing 2.5 years later. My fatigue, like major mom fatigue, I was working long days, it's gone. I no longer crash in the afternoon, and there's no more of a need for a nap. I nap sometimes with my baby because he doesn't sleep at night. But everybody needs sleep. You have to have sleep to repair and rebuild. But I do experience sound and solid, restful sleep when I do sleep. And this was the best pregnancy out of 3. I've had 3 children, and it was my most healthy pregnancy. I took the products the entire time. So they were all approved by the midwives at Carl. I was kind of anxious to show them because I was afraid they would say no and I would have been heartbroken. But they said yes with flying colors. Everything was great. So as for my son, his eczema has cleared. We had tried everything: antibiotics, creams, lotions, steroids. Skin steroids were the most popular. And that would make things go away for a while. But as Melody was saying earlier, you're putting a Band-Aid on something that's going to keep coming back over and over. He had chronic cradle cap, like the stuff that babies get. He had it all the way up until he was 9 years old. And the only thing that has made that disappear was ProBio 5. 2 weeks after he took it, he's been cradle cap free. So that was big for me. We tried everything. No more allergies, no more albuterol nebulizer treatments. I don't know if any of you are familiar with a nebulizer. No more treatments. No more seasonal inhaler. It was called Singular. Or no. He was taking seasonal asthma medicine. It was called Singular. He doesn't have to take that anymore. And he doesn't have to use his seasonal inhaler either. And no more anxiety meds for him. He had some major mood issues going on. So that to be able to address that in a natural way instead of with prescriptions has meant the world to me. Like, amazing. For my husband, he no longer has heartburn or acid reflux. He had suffered for 10 years. So that was pretty huge for him when he finally decided to cave and try the pink drink. He no longer suffers with heartburn. His blood pressure is no longer in the hypertension range. He'd actually had a stroke. TIA, I think is what it was called. And his blood pressure was terrible, but now it's in the normal range. It's actually pretty low, not dangerously low, just normal. And his joint pain is dramatically less. So I guess all this to say, when we got to the root of a lot of our issues, which was poor gut health, we addressed the inflammation in our bodies, and we naturally started feeling better and balancing from the inside out. So when people say, or if you see a post that says Plexus is life-changing, it may sound like a cliche, but it's absolutely true for us, for our family, and for lots of people that I know. So that's our story, a really quick version. Thanks for listening.
Hello, my name is Kari. I'm going to tell you a little bit just about our family and how it's addressing gut health has helped our family. Me personally, Megan kind of talked about, I was relating to what she was saying. In high school, I had sinus infections like clockwork. Like I was on antibiotics, I feel like all the time. And I remember them giving me little probiotics, but I mean, I still had them all the time. And then on top of that, I always had issues with allergies, like nonstop all year round. I took medicine all year round. And like when we say it was like a Band-Aid, like it was like a Band-Aid that didn't even work. Like I took the medicine because I thought it was helping me, but really I still had all the miserable symptoms of allergies. Itchy eyes, watery nose, or itchy and just all over, watery eyes and nose and everything. It was just, those obnoxious allergy symptoms. I felt like they were the worst in the spring and the fall, but they lasted all year round. I mean, I literally took medicine all the time. Just chronic issues, just struggled with it ever since I can remember. I like to say 24/7, 365. My mom was the exact same way. My mom actually had them worse than me, just miserable. And whenever I had kids, my kids started having issues. My daughter at 9 months old had bronchitis, and as Cassie was saying, started on nebulizer treatments. And we used that nebulizer. We bought it. Thank goodness we bought it, because for the next 3-4 years, we used that thing all the time. Like every couple months, we pulled out the nebulizer because we needed it again. I had my son, and starting at 6 months, he had the same issues, nebulizer treatments like crazy. Thankfully, a friend of mine introduced me to a probiotic that attacks yeast. And my kids had been on a probiotic since they were practically born, because they'd been on so many antibiotics. So of course they say, be on a probiotic. But we were still having these chronic issues all the time. I'm telling you, since we started this probiotic, the kids and I, we have not pulled the nebulizer treatment out in 3 years. We had it out every couple months for 3 years before that. I mean, it amazes me. Like I had no idea 3 years ago what gut health or yeast or candida or any of these things. I did not know any of this stuff, even like I didn't know the importance of it. And so it's just amazing, because I think of like all the money that I waste on allergy meds. I had no idea that my gut health, like why would that affect my nose? My head, like all that. I did not know about that. And it's amazing to me. Now knowing all of that. And I'm with Cassie. I'll add in, I have a 2-month-old right now, and it was by far out of my 3 the best pregnancy I had, being on this, this probiotic. I mean, night and day different from my first 2. So anyway, yeah, that's my little snippet, just real quick, trying to keep it short, but I'm kind of like Cassie, years and years of stories in a couple minutes time. There you go.
All right. Thank you, Kari. Thank you, everyone that shared. Andrea, I still want to hear the rest of your story there and what you were teaching about with probiotics and prebiotics. So I say let's get you on the next one. So next Monday, we're going to do this again. It's going to be a little bit different format, but I would love Andrea to share more about that, because I want to learn. All right. So as you've learned, if you've heard the stories, as you've heard us share what we know about the importance of gut health, there is room for supplementation. It's a puzzle piece in the whole picture. It's not necessarily everything, but it's a big part, and it's something worth considering. I know that when my doctor, when I was recovering from the autoimmune disease that I was diagnosed with, she told me, she said, Megan, unless you continue to supplement your body's going to revert back to the way it was over time. And so she highly recommended quality probiotics, omegas, and multivitamins at a bare minimum. And so that's just my mindset, is that every single person can benefit from those things. And I know that we love the Plexus product line because of what it is and what it's done for our families and for what it's done for us. But this lead, seed, feed, and protect idea is totally true. I mean, we have a prebiotic drink. I know Andrea referenced it, called Slim. It's a pink drink, and it helps regulate blood sugar, and it has prebiotics. So it's feeding the good stuff in our bodies. We have a little probiotic that's a Superman, that's supercharged with an antifungal and digestive enzymes that attack the yeast. We have a magnesium cleanse supplement. We have a new kids vitamin that also contains prebiotics and is fully methylated. There's less than 20 products in the supplement in the Plexus lineup, but it's very powerful. They pack a powerful punch. So if we've intrigued you or piqued your interest tonight by sharing our stories and sharing what's worked for us in light of even the Plexus products, please feel free to contact the person that invited you here to learn more. I know we have a couple events. Next week, I'm going to host another gut health event just to learn more and to share more stories. We also have a live event in Illinois, in Effingham, on Thursday evening. If you're interested and live close by, definitely plug into that. And we also have a 7-day challenge. We host these fairly often, where you can pop in and try Plexus for 7 days and be privy to a lot of information and some fun prizes. So we highly recommend popping in on that if you're interested. We are going to do one thing before we close, and Jocelyn hopefully has picked 2 names as winners for 2 prizes. So I have the kids multivitamin we're going to give away tonight, and we also have the probiotic Probio 5, and we're going to do that as well. So Jocelyn, you can share with us.
Yes, Sarah Larrabee will do the kids probiotic for you. It's pretty awesome. Or the kids multivitamin with the probiotic added, excuse me. And then Megan Ogan, I hope I said that right. We will do Probio 5, which is the one we've been talking about with digestive enzymes that attacks yeast. So.
Okay, yay, awesome. Well, thank you all for popping on tonight. I hope that you learned something. I hope it was a blessing, and we'll be talking to you soon. Plug into our events if you want to learn more. We have lots to share. Okay, you guys have a great night. Bye.